Allen Park just switched to red alert. I'm cutting straight to the truth. How a top-tier cornerback room got stripped to the studs in 2 weeks. What the cap sheet really allows, and the exact outside corner profile that lets Detroit keep blitzing on schedule tomorrow. No filler. Just a plan to keep the window wide open. Here's the map we're running tonight. What broke on the field, where the depth chart actually sits, and the decision tree on Brad Holmes' desk with real costs in cash, picks, and chemistry. Internal promotions, street veterans, practice squad poaches, deadline swings, the whole board clean and organized. Stick with me. The winning move lives in a lane most fans aren't watching. Reality, fast. A strength became a scramble in a blink. Ennis Rakestraw Jr. never cleared the camp setback. DJ Reed went down versus Cleveland. Then the double hit. Halil Dorsey hurt midweek. Terrion Arnold left the Bengals game with a shoulder. Dan Campbell didn't sugarcoat out for a while. Overnight, rotation turned into patchwork. Avonte Maddox anchoring the slot. Amik Robertson and Rock Ya-Sin battling outside. And zero room for one more knocked-out paper depth charts don't win Sunday snap stress does. Slide a slot to the boundary. Ask a team's gunner to play nickel, widen the safeties, and the ripple hits pass rush. Leverage. Run fits everything. The front seven can cover some sins. They did it last year with late-season vets. But in the secondary, one mistimed step is 6 points. You can't bluff that for long dot, so pull the internal levers first. The practice squad isn't storage. It's a ladder. Trey Flowers, Eric Hallett, Nick Whiteside, somebody steps up. Flowers has the starts and already got the Bengals elevation. Whiteside and Hallett speak the language from camp. Huge when your game plan is heavy on checks and match rules. Promote one, maybe two, and you buy snaps immediately. What you don't buy is ceiling. Former camp bodies? Luke Barku, DiCaprio Boodle, Alan George, Gavin Holmes, DJ Miller, Stanley Thomas Oliver, Tyson Russell, Devad Wilson, familiar names. But the truth is, if any of them had separated, they'd still be in the building. Some have injury settlement clocks to wait out. That's administrative time Detroit doesn't have. What about recent ex-Lions? There's always a gravitational pull toward guys who've walked these halls. But bridges burned are still bridges gone, and availability is a skill. Some veterans haven't stayed healthy. Others haven't logged a meaningful snap in too long. And the ones who are playing elsewhere would cost draft capital for depth, not a star. That's not the Holmes playbook unless the value is screaming dot, so we arrive at the 3 classic paths. Path 1, practice squad poach. I love it philosophically. No picks surrendered, instant system fits. Role players who've been taking scout team reps at full speed. Names that match roles. Beanie Bishop, slot spark. Bryce Hall, outside length. Mike Hilton, savvy slot. Nick Needham, inside-outside. Ambry Thomas, outside with local roots. You can plug one of these and stabilize dime packages, special teams, and emergency boundary snaps tomorrow. It's clean. It's also a floor move. Path 2, buy low on a starter. Every deadline has a couple of corners who flash Pro Bowl tape. Then hit a rough patch. Greg Newsome, Riley Moss, Algerius Sneed, Tariq Woolen talent is there. But price versus payoff is the game. Detroit would want contract control, scheme fit, and willingness to tackle. You pay with picks, and you inherit the bill. You better be sure the arrow points back up dot path 3. Swing for a Pro Bowler on a struggling team. Sauce Gardner, J.C. Horn, Marlon Humphrey, Denzel Ward. They change your ceiling immediately. But that's not a screwdriver. That's a wrecking ball to your future cap and your draft chest. The Lions' identity under this regime is drafting core players and extending their own. Mortgage the future, and you don't just add a corner, you rewrite your timeline. That's why, historically, Holmes has lived in the value aisle. Carlton Davis for a third was a big move by his standards. There is, however, a 4th path. And it's where this all points tonight. the veteran free agent with starter traits and an asterisk the size of a medical file. This front office has done it before at other positions veterans with real defensive or special teams work on tape. Signed on team-friendly terms, told to compete, contribute, and revive a career in a winning environment. We're talking 1 year, low guarantee structures, per-game bonuses, snap count escalators, and playoff incentives that only hit if the player's on the field when it matters. Zoom in on profile. Outside corner, long frame, plus speed on vertical routes. Comfortable in press, willing to live on the boundary. Red zone matchup tool against size. In Aaron Glenn's world, that player needs to be more than fast. He needs to be disciplined in match rules, physical enough to force releases, and committed to tackling on the perimeter. When Detroit's corners play well, it's because they squeeze windows, reroute receivers, and make throws late. That's the blueprint. Which brings me to the name that actually sits at the intersection of need, price, and upside. The room has kicked around a lot of free agents. Some with Hall of Fame resins, some with respected tape, many with price tags that don't line up in week 6. But there's one bet that matches the way the Lions operate. When injuries force a decision and the NFC window is open. He's a former first-round pick with prototypical size, rare straight-line juice when healthy, and a history that scares off half the league and tempts the other half with the idea of a reclamation. He is the definition of a low-risk, high-reward flyer in October for a contender that needs an outside CB who can run with anybody. This is the move on the table. Caleb Farley to Detroit. I'm talking about a prove-it pack that protects the club and invites the player to put real NFL snaps on tape again. Minimal guarantees, active roster bonuses, playtime triggers, and postseason escalators. Why Farley? Because the traits check every schematic box length to disrupt releases, vertical speed to carry go balls, comfort and press to mirror the route early, and because the market reality means you're not bidding against 5 teams for him in mid-season. You're bidding against his medicals and his own timeline. If the doctors sign off, you gain something Detroit doesn't currently have while the room heals. An outside corner with starter tools who can play the call without rolling coverage help his way on every deep shot. Let's be straight about the risk. Farley's story is the story of injuries, and that's why he's available right now. Back procedures don't vanish because you want them to, and teams build in protections for a reason. But you can engineer a contract that mirrors that risk. Low cash flow until he's active on game day. Step-ups when he strings together healthy weeks, and nothing on the books next March if it doesn't click. In exchange, you get the one thing you can't manufacture in October. A corner with true outside traits, not a slot playing out of position, or a safety asked to moonlight. What it means on the field. Farley walks in as an outside specialist with a tight package early press. Bail, boundary leverage, red zone fades. You ask him to compress windows on the vertical plane and trust your safeties to cap. Against teams that want to isolate your CB2 with double moves, you finally have a jet who can stay in phase without panic. That lets Glenn keep the call sheet aggressive on second down and keep Aiden Hutchinson and the rushers hunting instead of babysitting with help coverage. It also keeps Avonta Maddox where he's best, terrorizing option routes inside. Short-term rotation matters. Rocky Sin and Amick Robertson have earned reps. No one is asking Farley to walk in and play 65 snaps after a week in the building. But if he gives you 18 to 25 clean snaps outside in week 1, 30 to 35 by week 3, and red zone value on day 1, you've bought time for Terrion Arnold's shoulder and Halil Dorsey's recovery without asking your scheme to become passive. If he stacks health, the snap share grows organically. If he doesn't, the contract ensures the cap doesn't bleed. Now factor in the alternatives. A splash trade costs picks you'll want in April. A practice squad poach stabilizes the floor but doesn't raise the ceiling. A big-name veteran demands cash the team needs earmarked for its own core. The Farley structure gives you flexibility in both directions. You can still elevate a PS corner this week and you still have the capital to act at the deadline if the board says so. It's the classic Holmes move. Value, options, and no panic. I know some of you are already typing, but tackling. Fair. Detroit's corners have to tackle. That's the standard under this staff. The ask here is leverage and finish on the sideline, not insert into the A-gap. Technique plus length can clean up most of the day one issues, and the Lions culture has a way of making either you tackle or you don't play. That message gets through fast in this building, so here's where I land after watching the tape. Looking at the cap sheet and understanding the room's mood, if the medicals cooperate, Caleb Farley on an incentive-laden one-year deal is the smartest asymmetric bet Detroit can make right now. It preserves picks, respects the locker room, and gives Aaron Glenn a tool he doesn't currently have while Terrion Arnold and Khalil Dorsey get right. Before I close, I want your take because this community always brings real football minds. Would you sign Caleb Farley on a low guarantee, playtime-driven deal today? Or would you rather poach a practice squad corner and hold capital for a bigger swing at the deadline? Drop your plan in the comments, structure the contract, name your elevations. Tell me how you'd split snaps in the first 2 weeks. I'll pin the most complete cap sound proposal. My concise read on the headline move. Detroit's cornerback injuries forced action, and among all realistic options, the Farley Flyer is the best value. Strike traits, role clarity, flexible contract, and zero draft costs, giving the Lions a chance to stabilize the boundary without blinking on this season's goals. If it clears medically, I expect the team to move quickly. If you're new here, I bring you this kind of nuts and bolts Lions coverage every day, no noise, just football. Make sure you're subscribed to Lions News Fan Report. Hit the like if this breakdown helped you see the board clearer, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next roster move. Let's keep this thing rolling one smart decision at a time all the way through January.